Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Ultra Bear coming at you with Game 5. This is the final match. The final match of the MST Group 10. HyuN versus Iris. And yes, in case you didn't figure it out, this is a rematch of Game 1. Game 1 was HyuN versus Iris, and HyuN got very, very greedy. Went for quick lurkers, and then tried to move out with those lurkers uh, to try and catch Iris off guard with them, failed, and then tried to attack straight Hive in the midst of it. And so he didn't have enough forces. He lost several lurkers in the field, so he didn't have enough forces. He didn't have enough forces to hold Iris back. Iris went out with a nice little timing push, a couple siege tanks, a vessel, nice group of medic marine, and just overran HyuN's front door with Defiler Mound up, consume researching, but it was not quite. He would have needed to stall Iris a lot more in the field if he was going to hold out long enough for those Defilers. Iris, wow, looking to fast expand definitely here, putting that depot all the way out at his closest expansion base. And what is going on here? HyuN sending a drone out kind of in a strange direction. I guess he's looking for proxies is what's going on here, and he also wants to get a drone scout in, see what Iris is doing, seeing if he's gonna mech or something like that. Um, it's interesting. We've seen a kind of a dying down in mech. For a long time, no one ever meched versus Zerg ever. Flash did it a couple times because he's so baller that he could do it. He could pull it off. And then it just was not done generally. And then Fantasy, of course, did his little stuff. And then everyone was meching all the time. Just all the time. Just didn't matter. Didn't matter what the circumstances were. They just mech just because they could. Actually, usually depended on the map and stuff. But um, he's just really stopping this command center from going down. It looks like he's gonna have to put it down off position. Nicely done, HyuN. Good harassment there. Um, So 14 CC coming, or actually might have been 15 or 16 because he was stopped it for so long. But a very, very, very fast command center for Iris is really going to try and gain an economic advantage here. So now we're going to see if HyuN is either going to. Okay, yeah. So I was going to say he's going to either go for a third hatchery before his spawning pool because he can afford to now, or he could. Uh, well, he would have had to start it already actually, and I don't think Iris would have yeah, I guess he could have gone for a 12 pull and tried to put some pressure on, but that wouldn't have been a very wise move, actually. So, HyuN, excuse me, being very wise, getting that third hatchery first, and is now going to be kind of on even ground economically with Iris. So, both players going for a bit of a macro game here, basically, a longer game. Um, what was I saying before? Oh yeah, so yeah, this is a rematch. Iris beat him very, very soundly in the first game. And now they're back here in the final match. Whoever wins this match continues on and will actually go into the MSL. Whoever loses it will be eliminated, and they're going to have to wait a few more months to take another stab at it. So very, very important match for both of these guys. Um, I do think that Iris seems to be playing better today, so I'm going to give, well, actually that first game was kind of a build order thing. So, and actually HyuN won his game against Saxry in the losers match and as a kind of a build order thing as well. Already got a quick lair going down here. And look at this drone. This drone is still running around. Still running around here and a very quick factory, by the way, from Iris. Very, very interesting that he's got a second factory going down, and HyuN is going to see all of this. So HyuN knows that he is actually going for a mech build after all. So it's actually really important that he did manage to keep that drone alive. If he hadn't kept that drone alive, it would have probably he probably would have anticipated more of a bio build, going for more medics and marines off of a quick second base. But he's actually going to mech off two bases. Very interesting that he decided to fast expand and then do it. Finally kills that drone after he spots the uh, machine shop going down. So he is going to expect something, probably vultures, Well, obviously that's kind of the beginning of the mech is you go with vultures and stuff. But the fact that he's gone for this both factories, he stayed alive long enough to see both those factories indicates. Oh, drone getting the kill. Did not block the ramp, but got the kill. So um, Iris is not going to be able to get in there and find out what's going on in there. See if there's a spire, which has just gone down. He saw that den, but a den is of course to be expected when he knows that there's mech. Anyway, but yeah, if he hadn't gotten that if he hadn't kept that drone alive that long, he wouldn't have known if it was going to be just a one factor harass into wraiths, or if it was going to be something like this, where it was going to be more of uh, a build what's going on here? He keeps trying to build something and then he can't. So finally he gets the hatchery and a colony down. Very interesting placement there. Um, Iris now with 4 vultures out, making a third and fourth factory as well, getting that armory down. So Iris is really going hardcore here, gung-ho with the factories. Really going to be able to put out a lot of units here very quickly. He needs to... Now, in mech, unit composition is generally very key, especially in the long run. Once he gets that spire up, they're going to be able to switch back and forth a lot. Zerg is going to be able to much more easily switch back and forth between tech trees, obviously. It's one of the advantages of the Zerg. And so it's going to come down to unit composition. Iris is going to want to have more tanks if HyuN has more Hydras. If HyuN has more Mutas, Iris is going to want to have more Goliaths, obviously. And you need to keep the mixture proper. And so it's going to be up to HyuN to switch things back and forth and keep Iris off guard. It's going to be up to Iris to kind of keep track of all that. So he does have a very nicely blocked door. Not going to be able to run those vultures past there. I'm a little bit surprised we didn't see a starport to see a drop those vultures in the main. But actually, I guess it probably wouldn't have turned out very well anyway because of the mutas they're out now. So both players basically content to play sort of a macro thing here. Iris, yeah, just he didn't get in there quite quick enough. So HyuN is actually taking that bottom left-hand corner base, by the way. That's very important because that bottom left-hand corner base is a double gas base. And if HyuN can hold that, he will have so much gas, it's going to be ridiculous. Charon boosters not quite upgraded yet for the Goliaths, it looks like. So those mutas are going to have to fall back, but they didn't take as much damage as they could have in that situation. He's going in for some harassment, but Iris has a ton of Goliaths right now. He's just going mass Goliaths, and that's really a good way to go. He doesn't quite need a ton of tanks unless HyuN had gone for major mass Hydras early on, but he kind of, even if he had gone mass Hydras early on, mass Goliaths, especially since he's macroing so hard off those 2 bases with 4 factories, mass Goliaths can do pretty well against mass Hydras, so it's not a bad idea there. And look at that, he's researched burrows so that he can group his Zerglings, that burrowed Zergling with his Mutalisks instead of an Overlord, which is really smart because otherwise he'd lose Overlords because he's going to have to upgrade Overlord speed in order to be careful of mines eventually. He doesn't need speed yet. I don't know if he has speed actually. Okay, no Overlord speed yet, but it's just better to have that Zergling. It's not going to risk his Overlords by having them be out in the field. And here comes those Goliaths into that bottom left-hand corner. It's just popped. The hatchery has just finished morphing in, and he's now under very serious attack from a lot of Goliaths here. The hatchery is going to go down in a little bit, and it looks like I almost said Saxery. HyuN is just going to sacrifice that base. He's not even going to try to save it. I mean, he loses 300 minerals for the hatchery and the drone, but loses 300 minerals for the hatchery and loses the drone, but it just would have been too hard for him to defend that. He could not, even if he'd sent those mutas down there, they probably would have died against the Goliaths. So a smart move to just go ahead and sack that base. But he's in a little bit of danger here. The Goliaths are still on the move. He needs to get some Hydras in the mix. Probably what he's going to do is send, if he gets attacked at that 12 o'clock location, then he's probably going to have to send his mutas down around the south and try and pick off reinforcements, because if tanks join up with that group of Goliaths, it's going to mean real big trouble. And he's actually sending those lings out, keeping them burrowed as kind of like what I call info lings. They're just little scouting lings so that if Goliaths walk on top of them, they can spot them. And look at this, he's going to go in into that third base in that 12 o'clock position. Going for an attack, he's going to try and take out the army first, though, and put a little pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if he sends like a couple Goliaths up after the base and the rest after the army. Here he comes in.